Hey, all my friends up in Vermont. This is Mr. Dave in sunny, partly cloudy Raleigh, North Carolina. It really seems strange putting together this video to help you all out up there, but I'm excited that you are volunteering at Hard-Act to help these kids ski. You are about to just participate in something that's just really special to these kids. You're going to make lifetime skiers out of them, and you've got the opportunity to really make a difference. And you think back at either maybe your own skiing career or others around you, a lot of people learned how to ski at Hard-Act. I'm sorry I'm not there with you, but hopefully I can leave you with a few tips. When I think about skiing, I think about three goals. One is you want to keep them safe. Two, you want to make sure that they have fun. And three is they learn something. So I've found that if you keep them safe and they have fun, they're going to learn something. That's really the key. So whatever we're doing, the most important thing is that these kids have fun. You have one goal at the end of this first lesson, and that is that they go home and say, I want to come back. All right, first tip, let's talk about equipment. You've got skis, you got poles, probably have helmets for the kids, and you also want to make sure that they're warm. So skis, they all gotta have a pair of skis. They should fit properly. If the ski keeps coming off, that may not be a bad thing. I mean, that's part of what the binding's all about. But if they really just can't stay on, you want to make sure that they get those adjusted. But every kid should have a ski. They don't have to be too long, just be the right size for them. Poles, the kids don't need poles. Leave them behind, they tend to get in the way. You might want to have a pair for some other things we're going to talk about later, but the kids really don't need poles until much later. Helmets required, make sure everybody's got a helmet, and that you've done all you can to make sure that they're good and warm. If they're not warm, if they're getting cold, you got to take a break, make sure that they go in and get warm, and then the next time they come out, maybe think about how you would keep them warm. I always had 2 or 3 extra sets of hand warmers in my pocket, stick those in their gloves, and that certainly helps. Again, for yourself though, you're going to want to make sure you have your skis. You might have your poles somewhere near, but you are going to spend a lot of time just in your boots, especially with the little kids. You don't necessarily need to have your skis on for them to have a good time or for them to teach you skiing. So for kids, they need skis. They don't need their poles, helmet, and warm. For you, you need your skis. You also need good boots, and you may want to have your poles for some exercise we're going to do later. All right, next let's talk about class management. Thinking about 3 things here. First is you want to keep your class sizes small. If you can work it out, if you've got enough volunteers to do this, I'd recommend that you not have any more than 2 or 3 kids per instructor. If you have more, you're going to have to deal with that. But you're going to do much better if you can kind of keep that class size quite small. Again, 2 to 3 really works out. The next thing in class management is use the parents. You've got them there, use them, get them involved. I do something I call pitch and catch. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, but pitch and catch, you're going to get the kids started. Parents are going to help get them, catch them at the other end. So use the parents, get them involved in the thing. And then the third thing is terrain. Hard-Act's got some really strange terrain when it comes to beginners. Everything kind of falls off towards the lacrosse and soccer fields. And so you want to make sure that you're not aiming towards a lodge, but you're kind of aiming where that fall line is, where that fits. For the younger kids, you may not even get up to the beginning of the rope toe. You're just going to use that area right in front of the lodge, and you want to find a spot where your kids are going to run off naturally. There's a lot of stuff where to kind of get away from you, so you want to pay attention to that. Use the terrain to your advantage. All right, and then back to the fun piece. There's a couple of other things with class management that I want to recommend. When the little kids fall down, help them up. There's really nothing to be gained by trying to teach them how to get up when they're that young. They're going to just really get frustrated, and you want to keep them on their feet as much as you can. So either you're going to pick them up or the parents are going to pick them up. Use safe picking up, use your legs, that type of stuff to get them up off the ground, but do that. If their skis come off, you help put them back on. Again, these are young kids in a lot of cases, and it's not going to spend a lot of time with them being frustrated over getting their equipment on, but you help them get it back on. And then the last tip here is that before they can get to the rope toe, they're going to have to climb. So you're either going to have them take their skis off and walk up, carry their skis up, or I like to turn them around, get my hands behind them and give them a big old push, or have the parents do that, get them back up to wherever your start line is. So you want to manage them getting up off the snow as quickly as you can, getting their skis on, and also getting them back up the hill. Use the parents, watch the terrain, and keep your class sizes small. Somebody had asked about, are there any terms that we use with kids with skiing? I only have 2, and both of them have to do with food. The first one is pizza. So pizza, we'll get our skis in a little shape of a pizza, and we use that for going slow and for stopping. The second one is French fries. French fries, the skis are facing the same direction, and off they go. All right, that's a lot faster. Skis are parallel to each other. They're taking off. Pizza, they're going a little bit slower. So when we want them to go slow and we want them to stop, skis are going to be in pizza. We got to go a little bit faster in here. Now in the beginning, you may have to have them actually step their skis into what it feels like to be a pizza. They aren't going to have any trouble with French fries. And then one of the exercises that you might do is where you would have them go from French fries to pizza, French fries to pizza. Now I demonstrate with my hands. The kids are looking at my hands, and I tell them that my hands are what my skis are doing. So put my hands out in front of me, have them down like this, say French fries, we're going to go fast. Put them out like this, and they're going to go slow. Then I can stand in front of them when they're kind of coming at me, and I could just use my hands. I don't even have to say anything. So if you're like, what is that? Kids mimic what your hands look like, and then mimic again to go a little bit faster. So those are going to be the terms that we're going to use, and I'll be back with a couple more tips. All right, next thing is what I talk about is what's unique about teaching kids. There's two things I'm thinking of. Well, one of them is that they have a very short attention span. So whenever you're doing exercises with the kids or you're trying to get them to move forward, think about just one task at a time. Maybe it's just to ski down a little bit and stop. Maybe it's to ski down and make one turn. Maybe it's to ski down and make 1-2 turns, whatever it is, but one task. Try not to overburden them with too much between each one of these exercises as you go through. The second thing has to do with, really it's an anatomical thing, but kids carry most of their weight in their head. And then on top of that, you put this helmet on, and it makes them very, very top heavy. So once the head gets moving around like this, it's not uncommon for them to see it kind of get off balance to the back, and it's being led by the head. So what you want to do is you want to try to figure out ways to get the head to kind of stay forward. A couple tips that come in here. One is that you're going to keep the hands forward. And I do that by telling the kids they've got maybe a steering wheel. Keep the hands out in front, they've got a steering wheel. And the second one, you've seen this one over and over again, is putting your hands on your knees. So if I have a child that kind of gets backwards like this, I want the hands forward, maybe grab a hold of that steering wheel or put their hands on knees. The second thing with the head is that if you can get the head to go in a direction, you can often get the rest of the body to go. So if I'm telling somebody to steer like this, they almost automatically move their head in that direction, and the body starts to go that way as well. Changes the weight and they kind of move. So if you can get that head to go back and forth. And then the last thing with the head is that when a kid's going kind of fast and we go to stop them, if we stop their legs, their heads kind of go to the back and they fall to the back. So I have this tendency that when the kid's coming at me, what I want to do is I want to put my hand right in the middle of their chest and kind of catch them and slow them down by holding on to that chest. And that keeps the body upright. It keeps them from falling over, and it gets them under control. Again, I want them to be happy. I don't want them on the snow falling down crying. I want them upright. I want them enjoying what they're doing and getting some success. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to where that head is, keeping it forward, up over the tip of the skis, in the direction of where we're going, and then also slowing them down with the whole body. All right, so I mentioned earlier that we might show you some things with the poles that you can do. I take my poles and I use them usually as motivators or goals for the kids while they're out there. So what I might do is I might say, okay, we're going to ski down to my poles and stop at my poles. Or I might turn them this way and say, okay, we used to call this a garage. I'm gonna take my car, all right, got my car going down the hill, and I'm gonna turn, I'm gonna park it in the garage in between those poles. And then of course a real easy one is that kind of set them up like this and say, okay, you're gonna ski in and out of these poles. So they become motivators for them. And then one last thing that I use this, and you also find bamboo poles usually over by the shack, is that if I'm skiing with a child and I want to control the speed, I'll oftentimes put my pole out like this and have them hold on to it, and they're skiing forward and holding on to the pole, and I'm controlling the speed and controlling them kind of where they're going to go and help them make those turns so that they kind of experience that turn. We want them to feel it in their legs, get a little bit of muscle memory as they start to go. So you can use the poles to help slow them down and control their speed. You can use it for targets, and you can use it for goals and pieces on here. So the poles are going to come in handy, probably for anything but using them for poles to get up and down the hill. All right. So the last thing that I was thinking about was, what do we actually want to teach them? What are we trying to accomplish? We want them to have fun, want to do this, but we also want to teach them some skills. The two things that we're really looking for is that can they stop and can they turn? Now, these things are kind of tied together. Right? If you think about a turn, if I keep turning and I keep turning, eventually I'm going across the hill and I'm going to stop. So a turn is a type of stop. Taking that little pizza wedge that we were talking about and using it as a braking wedge is to get them to slow down in here. Anytime that you're trying to teach a new skill, do it at slow speeds, do it at the lower part of the mountain, and work until they kind of get the feel for it before you move them back up. Try one task at a time. Again, as they're coming down the hill, maybe it's to stop. Maybe it's just to slow down and speed up a little bit. And then the next time, let's make one turn to the right. Let's make one turn to the left. And then you can start to link things. But remember, one task at a time. Take it little baby steps as you move up. And each time you do something, you're going to build a little bit so that they can remember that, and they can start to get it, and start to get that repetition and get the muscle memory. All right, as I get to the end of my class, I want the kids to kind of take control of it at that point. So I do something that I call name it and then do it. So what I try to do is I get the kids all lined up, or however many got in there, and I ask them, I say, what are you going to do? And let them name the task that they're going to do and then ski it. So they might say something like, oh, I'm going to make a turn to the right, a turn to the left, and stop. And you say, great, go off and do it. Now what they're doing is they're taking ownership of that. It's something that they can do the next time they come out on their own. They can say, all right, I don't need a lesson. I'm just going to teach myself by telling myself this is what I want to do, and then go out and do that. Now the last thing is that they've got to have fun. Just remember that you want them leaving there with a huge smile on their face, with a big hug, with a lot of high fives. The more enthusiasm that you pump into the lesson, the more enthusiasm the kids are going to take home. Again, the biggest compliment you can get is that they go home and say to their parents, I want to do that again next week. That's your goal. And they want to use your name. Wouldn't that be cool too as well? Listen, I've really had a lot of fun out here today just for putting this together. Feel free to call or holler if you need to. I'd be happy to offer more. Again, I'm a little jealous that you're out there doing this. And, well, I guess I'm not jealous about being down here in Raleigh, but you know what I mean. Have a great time. Enjoy the kids while you're out there, and best of luck to all of you.